Alright, welcome back, and we are in turn 12 of this game as Relay. And this is not the original recording of the game. I think, as I said a while ago, and this is also the reason why there have been so few videos, obviously, when I changed over my computer, I lost all my old recordings. And then immediately after I lost all my old recordings, we had the Australian bushfires, we had a death in the family, and then most recently, I got married. So we've had a series of things happening in a row that have gotten in the way of my Dominion's recording schedule. Those things have now calmed down a little bit, and I'm hoping to move back to a relatively regular recording schedule. However, that does mean recreating old content and current content from my notes. It means that when I finish the Ulm game and the Atlantis game, I'll be doing so from whatever files I have and the notes I had, not the original recordings. But of course, strategy videos can go on, as normal. I've got some collab content that I'm currently talking about the terms of. I'm hoping in the future I might be able to do something with GC, but I'm also going to do something with The Last Pretender, I hope, on probably assassin use, I think is what we're discussing at the moment. And I'll just continue on with my general strategy video. I want to get more remote attack spells and ritual spells covered in particular, because it's a personal area of interest. But I thought most importantly, because I have a live game, because I've fallen a bit behind, I thought I'd jump in and continue some Relay. So this was turn 12, once upon a time, and back in turn 12, Relay's situation was still in the early expansion phase, not particularly impressive, whatnot. Turn 12 wasn't particularly interesting. There was one expansion up here, which was our attempt to establish an enclave. I had talked previously about my logic behind putting on enclaves. Small enough holdings are not worth other people going to war with you over, but they can be useful, they can add up, and they can give you coastal recruits. So, and for one militia, killing these Ictiids was a fair deal, plus it let me go round this province, which was more heavily defended. This is a lower scout report than I saw before. I saw 50 militias and shamblers, which is not much for this army, if you can call it that. I had 8 frontliners and 6 mine blasters, but it was enough to buy a way through, so these guys could do that, which was the hope. The fact that it ended up being a 1 air gem, 0 search site, and 50 income was just a bonus on top. The only reason I really wanted to show turn 12 as I was loading through and looking at them is this turn. In Divine Ocean, the tax collector was waylaid, tax minus 100%, unrest plus 16. Also in Divine Ocean, local lords are feuding, unrest plus 46, tax minus 100%. So it was not a good turn to be Divine Ocean. Sure, I missed out on this tax income, boo-hoo, but it's funny how much a province can be ruined by random events in one turn, but I'll still keep it for the nature gem, obviously. And then in Whirling Sea, local lords are also feuding, tax minus 100%. So if you were writing an AAR or a novella based on this game, this would be a turn where local politics really, really got in the way of the effective operation. Here, the unrest matters more because it's a base 14,000 population province. It's extremely valuable. So we're going to patrol down what we can while we wait for additional troops to help us break through these Atlantean militias. That'll just get some income back. Unrest really does nerf your income, so stay on top of it. There aren't many things in Dominions you can do to optimize your economy, but managing unrest, forting the right provinces, and spreading your Dominion where your Dominion is worth spreading are very important things. And right now my Dominion is actually fairly weak, and that has to do with the fact that I haven't yet built, I believe, I haven't built a single temple. I've got a rock wall that's 4 months away from completion. We're at turn 12. A lot of people will have finished secondary forts or be really close to finishing secondary forts. Most people will have finished. I think the standard timing would have people finishing turn 14 if they started turn 8, which is not uncommon timing for a first fort with a lot of nations a lot of times. It's a good general rule. I'm going to be later. I'm going to be turn 16, which is woefully late for a fort, and I won't have a second one under construction. At least I don't expect to. My income at the moment is good, but I can spend the money as quickly as it's coming in, and I'd rather take more provinces. And especially once this mage completes next term, I'll have to spend money on another mage. So let's hope I get something good from the Void Gate, eh? We'll come back in turn 13 because it's more significant for expansion and diplomacy. But hey, welcome back. Good to be here. And also, Bloody Divine Ocean. Alright, turn 13, and what did we summon this turn? 3 Things from the Void. Things from the Void are, you know, they're pretty shit. They've got no protection, their defense skill is 7. They have a lot of these attacks, but they don't have many hit points considering their size 5. The Sacredness might be useful if you had a Bless, but my Bless is not useful for these guys. So, like, it's something, but it means that the summoning skill goes up. Every time you have a successful summon, your summoning skill goes up by 1, which unlocks, you know, improves the likelihood that you'll get good stuff. So, you know, that's something. We took 2 provinces this turn. We took Alluvia 193, which is a kelp forest, was likely to be quite rich, and it turned out to be quite rich. So we lost some of our Shark Tribe Tritons who I'd recruited, but I recruited them because they have 3 attacks, right? And they berserk. So they're actually quite killy for independence. They're totally worth recruiting. They die quickly because defense skill 10, protection 5, and berserk. But, you know, they did some killing of their own. They killed more than they lost, and they were well supported by the rest of the army. So we've taken Alluvia. You'll notice here that the frogs by now, this is the frog capital, Xibalba. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are 7 away from their capital. That is impressive. And the fact they managed to negotiate me into that is... and really, they pushed me over Alluvia 1932. I believe I talked about that in turn 11. They really pushed me over Alluvia. So Xibalba here has a really good track of ocean. This in here is all Ermor. But this is Xibalba, and Xibalba has essentially cut me off pretty much from Ermor, which is not something I have a tremendous problem with. That said, it's pretty clear what Xibalba is doing. If you have a look, there are troops here. I'm not sure what their arrangement is with Ermor, but I believe what's going to happen is they're going to make a deal with Ermor that allows them to move their troops up this way. This is a troop concentration here. I'm not sure whether this is just expansion or whether the plan is for Xibalba to come bang, bang, and hit Eriu. So our plan is, what we're going to do is we're going to bring this capital army up to here. We're going to keep this force here, or maybe bring it down south. I think I might just use it to patrol for a turn, so our forces are positioned off Eriu. And then we can make a decision. Either we're going to vulture these 2 coastal provinces from Eriu, because we're not in a position to stop Ermor or Xibalba from attacking Eriu, and we're not in a position to save Eriu from either of them. So either we're going to vulture these 2 provinces, or if for whatever reason we don't want to do that, this army will be in a position to then kill these archers and complete this little enclave. This enclave here looks really unsafe, but it's shielded by this river, and there's only 1 crossing point into it. Now, Xibalba can cross rivers, but Eriu couldn't. It's kind of shielded by the throne anyway. So really, what happens is, I think if we fought 143, these provinces are okay. We might also have to fort Pranda 138, just because it's more valuable, so we'd get more efficiency out of a fortress there. So that's the plan. The plan is to try and salvage more expansion out this way, so keep forcing our way out in this direction. We were lucky this turn, but we lost 2 more of our 16 units, so this force is basically exhausted, and you can see there are Kraken and Sea Trolls here, and 60 Triton Guards. Too much for any of this. So I think the solution will be pull back, patrol, or construct. I'll do the budgeting and work that one out. We'll be back in turn 14 where we're positioned, and we can evaluate whether or not we go into Eriu. I have my notes, so I'll be able to go through my thinking at the time and the decision that we ultimately made. Okay, it's turn 14. We managed to throw together, by putting everything we had in the area, we managed to pull together 25 units, including some rapidly recruited local Ictiads that died, to seize this Shambler and Militia province. Now truly exhausting our expansion parties in this direction. So this is likely to be our boundary for the moment. Ind has established a boundary here, and I have no desire to punch through heavy cavalry. At least not with what I've got, and also that would be very antagonistic given this is all in territory. You got to not get too gung-ho as an underwater nation, is my view anyway, in terms of provoking people, because they will kick you off if it's egregious. We've got a good relationship going on with Marignan. Vanarus has clearly wedged Shiniyama pretty close. This is Shiniyama. This is 1 province from their capital, and all this is Vanarus. So Shiniyama's in a hard time, but I wouldn't count. I'm not going to count them out yet, but at this point, certainly on paper, I give a significant advantage to the Vanarushians just because they've managed to expand better. Their units are really good on paper. Although Shiniyama and Dai Bokomono are also pretty bloody good. The keys for this turn were over here. We did exactly what I talked about wherein we concentrated force. So they decided not to patrol. I decided to concentrate in 174. The reason I did that is because ostensibly it might look like this army is pulling back down here to kill this province. So like it was deniable. It wouldn't give away to Eriu exactly what was about to happen. It wedged my bets. It bought me a turn. However, it's now clear that what I suspected was going to happen has by this point happened. Xibalba has moved up here, so this is a former Ermor province, and now 120 Moosh warriors and Moosh jungle warriors are about to jump onto Eriu. Up here, another 120 Moosh warriors and Moosh jungle warriors are about to jump on Eriu. And because of the recruit anywheres that Xibalba's has, they have the ability to pull together troops, not great troops, but troops from just about anywhere. So they may not be good troops, but I'm sure they'll be able to feed numbers in. Meanwhile, Eriu looks quite compact. So what we're going to do is, I believe, we'll remove unable units. Something like this. So we're going to seize both these two provinces because Eriu might suspect something maybe, but they definitely know they're being attacked by Xibalba, and this is like existential threat territory. And I've got, at this point, diplomatic confirmation that Ermor has also attacked on this front. There's some Eriu holdings around here. Ermor is all over those holdings. So it's an alliance of the frogs and the skeletons, as I suspected / feared. And as a result, I ain't going to stand against that. I can't stand against that. So the best hope I have is to take these two provinces, hope to ride out the storm, and then try and separate this alliance, the skeletons and the frogs, from each other at some later point in order to give me a hope and make sure I don't get wedged. Both those factions can go underwater, but Ermor has no reason to attack me now because they now share no border with me. So it may be that eventually I'm able to either convince Xibalba to go to war with Ermor and then leave hell alone, or work with Ermor to attack Xibalba. But I'd have to have a pretty good plan before I'd be willing to ally with skeletons against the living. And Smokey is awesome. He's awesome, but he's also terrifying, right? Like the spread of his territory, and he's got a slew around here, and now he's up here. He's done really well. I look like I've done well on paper too, but I still haven't finished my first fort, right? And I'm not sure. At this point, I've just got my second. I've got another one under construction down here. This one over here. So we'll have 2 forts on turn 17. It's not great, not terrible. I think I'm going to try and get another fort going over there. And this province here, where I've got someone sitting in Sea of Woe, just for resource spacing, I might get another one going here. Meteorite guards are very important to me. But the crux of this turn is we're going to move in on Eriu. We're going to secure just a little bit of extra territory. We'll get this province later. Xibalba's agreed to let us have it. We'll move reinforcements up to keep pushing more army units into this territory and see what we can do. We need to be pretty reserved because I don't want to get in Xibalba's way. But we're running out of options, and at this point, every province we can take matters. I'll get back to you in turn 15 when we've made the attack and we can size up how this war is going. Alright, it's turn 15, and we should feel bad a little bit because Eriu has just said... just sent us a message basically being nice to us about the fact that they are now at war with the undead. Right as we landed troops. So, we landed troops in Nern, 185, lost nothing. We landed troops here, we lost 1 militiaman, killed the PD. Decent PD, actually. 1 province is worth 38, 1 is worth 100, and has a well of white water for a single water gem per turn. I will take it. And this is probably the extent of our operations. Now, we could move on to Eriu itself, but Eriu itself will have a bunch of mages inside. They may have swarm. We don't have enough troops. So I'm going to hold back and see what happens with the main Eriu army. Because I've said I'm going to hold back, Eriu will deploy their forces elsewhere. And I'll stick to that. Unless the entire Eriu army is destroyed, of course. In which case, you've lost the game anyway. I'm going to give him a chance to fight. But I need to secure these 2 holdings as my minimum. If by some miracle he throws these guys completely back into the ocean, we might negotiate to hand these provinces back. But for the moment, I've got the forces in situ. He has bigger fish to worry about. Ermor is up in his business. Xibalba is besieging his fortresses. These guys have landed over here, which is Eriu territory, the army that was here, and another 60 mooches have appeared to reinforce. So the Xibalban forces... I would say just the Jabolban armies I can see well outnumber all the armies I have. So Jabolba's doing well. Now we have Mind Blasters, but we also have like a density of these guys, like of Lobo Guards and Militia in our forces, which aren't worth a damn. So for every Meteorite Guard, there are several of these shittier troops that I'm basically carrying as dead weight. However, Kelp Forest Thrive, Earth Gems, Summoning was successful. Bah. Oh, sorry, One Thing from Beyond. Where is it? Oh, that was just a thing from Beyond. I thought this was a Void Summon, but in fact it's just our hero spawning. Okay, so Umir Tawil the Visitor. The Visitor is a hero for Relay, and it's an Astral 4 Air 1 ethereal floating teleporting jellyfish brain thing. It has 2 Mind Blasts and a Life Drain, but that's not why you like it. It is sacred, that's okay. But the main reason you use it is because it's Teleport, Blink, Ethereal. Of those, Teleport and Blink are the most important. Teleport means that you can pick any province on the map and move there, with no movement restrictions whatsoever. So, as a site searcher, as a lab builder, as a source of mobility, these things are absolutely great. However, they are too vulnerable to use as raiders, unfortunately. Teleporting raiders would be great, especially with native MR19, which limits remote attack counters, like mine hunting. So that would have been great, but the fact that in the end, it's just not tough enough. Prot 0, defense skill 13, and only 44 hit points, and only 2 miscellaneous slots. I don't think there's a way to kit these guys as thugs or raiders, so instead they're just great utility. They're really cool, so I'm going to use them to search. I think the Visitor is a cool hero, but it's no Uttervast, for example. It's a really, really small Uttervast in that it's a mobile, teleporting, ethereal astral caster, but it doesn't have damage reversal, it doesn't have sky-high hit points, and unlike God versions of the Uttervast, you can't diversify the magic pathing in order to make them super dangerous. And even then, the Uttervast is probably too expensive to use like that. Here's hoping we get a Vastness or something, because if you get a Vastness, which can also teleport, and you can get through the Void Gate, you can give them to this guy, and he can teleport around with like his team of Vastnesses, and at that point they actually become a little bit cool and dangerous. A couple of Vastnesses and the Visitor Jellyfish dude will totally defeat PD. Not the most efficient use of super expensive and annoying heroes, but I just think it's cool because they can teleport. And if you're going to drop goon squads on things, teleport's a cool ability. So that's us. That's turn 15. Gem income is still weak, but income itself, I think, is in a better position. We're starting to get infrastructure up. Dominion spread continues to be awful because we can't afford temples, because we only have 6 Dominion strength, and because we took an imprisoned god, and other peoples have had their Dominion, they're either awake gods or their dormant gods have woken up. Remember, a god counts as 3 temple checks, one of which is guaranteed. So we've missed out on 15 turns so far worth of temple checks. Some people have basically had 45 temple checks that we don't, if they had their god awake from the start. And of those, 15 were guaranteed candle spreads. So we're not in a great position. Luckily, most of these provinces still don't have much Dominion, so if we do get a temple up, Dominion should backfill it quickly. But the reality is right now, I'm not getting the benefit of these glorious, glorious scales, which is unfortunate. In particular, I need to get magic spread into these provinces where I'm building forts before I lab them and get the researchers up. Otherwise, I won't be getting the +2 benefit from my magic root scales. I won't be getting luck, I won't be getting growth, and I won't be getting production, which is important for the purpose of getting more Meteorite Guard out, because that's how I want my armies to be built. I want them to be based on the resource-intensive Meteorite Guards. So, we'll come back in turn 16, see how the game has developed, but for my plan for now, hold position here, reinforce, and watch to see how this war develops. Okay, turn 16. I made a good call towards the end of last turn and one bad call. The good call was, I was like, oh, this reinforcement force probably doesn't need to come ashore. I can spend the time to come down here and take Rame. So I did. I lost 12 Lobos, but I took another province, and the province has a water gem generator, and it completes my nice little enclave here, which makes me feel good about life and frees up these forces. Also removes the temptation for Jabolba to say, oh, you didn't actually take it, so even though I said you can have it, I'm taking it. Which would have been suboptimal to say the best. We got pinged by Eriu here, which is presumably just them seeing what we've got. The scout was set to run away, but we had so many mine blasters that, oops. The bad call was I looked here and I was like, oh, I can probably take, if I throw everything, I can probably take the Tritons. And the answer is no. No, I definitely can't take the Tritons because I'm using Atlantean Militia, not Meteorite Guards. And the qualitative difference is awful. Awful, awful, awful. Mine Blast is not enough to make up for it. They were able to get behind me eventually because Tritons underwater are combat speed 19. Like, these guys are cavalry underwater. Combat speed 20, combat speed 19. Don't underestimate Tritons underwater if you're using shit. So they were able to get behind, kill my guy. The Slave Mage did successfully retreat. But I lost 3 Mine Blasters, which is 150 gold. I lost 4 Meteorite Guard, who are irreplaceable in this area. Like, I can't get reinforcements out here. So this is truly stalled here now. There will be no more movement over here. And probably nowhere to go here. So now everything comes down to how the Eriu war goes. Because I have no intention of opening up another front over here. Playing nice with Marignan. I'm on decent terms with the Vanarushians, and GC is a good bloke. Looks like Vanarus is pulling together something. Skin shifters, shamblers, militias, skin shifters, archers, huskars. I think this is aimed at Shiniyama, but we have no evidence of a fight yet. But my scout coverage over here is suboptimal because putting out mages is so important. I'll add mage recruitment there in a minute. But at least my economy can now support that sort of expansion. You'll notice up here I got my first fort up. What I'm going to do here is, I think what I'll do is lab fortress from memory, something like that. I start upgrading this really quickly with the view of then getting a temple down soon. You can see Jabulba's already templed this island, which actually puts me under pressure here to temple this before I lose the ability to efficiently spread dominion. Now, this is probably to hold back Ermor and Satis. Ermor, Satis. Ermor, Satis. So if you're owning the water along this coastline, water is always disadvantaged in Dominion share, or usually, because big provinces have lots and lots of land borders. And even though Dominion doesn't flow as naturally over water-sea interface as it does just land to land or water to water, this province, let's just say this province has your Dominion and you're trying to defend it against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Ermorian provinces of Dominion. It doesn't border this one, so 4. There's 4 chances for them to spread their dom into this one province, and there are fewer provinces for them to bleed over into. Reinforcing candles can only come from so far, and in this case, well, sure, reinforcing candles can come from this province, but this province is itself under threat from 1, 2, 3, 4 land provinces. So the physical size of water provinces means that water nations, especially snaky water nations, and this map is designed in a snaky way. Water nations are always going to be thin on this map, except for this one concentration in the centre, which I'm having to share. Will always be at a disadvantage defending their dominion against land nations, all else being equal. So Jabulba's going to have to put a line of temples to hold back the disease and negative income causing Satician dominion and the all your people die Ermorian dominion. But he probably doesn't care because he's seized a lot of this ground here. He's brought an army in. I believe he's taken this province in here. You can see that he's pushed Eriu back. And so Eriu now is their capital, a fortress over here. And I'll leave 1 or 2 holdings over here that Ermor hasn't taken yet. So we're definitely going to stay in situ. Might do that. Or something like it. See what happens. Because it may be that Jabulba is just impossible. If they bring all their forces that are here concentrated and they bring some forces up from the south, they'll probably take the capital. That said, this fortress was under siege and now it wasn't, so I desperately need to find out what happened here. Was there a major defeat? I think instead what happened is this army is the army that was besieging that fort. They moved here. Why they would do that, I don't know. But I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. So that's turn 16. I'm probably going to package turn 12 to 16 now. But hey, welcome back to Dominions. Hope you remember roughly how this game was going. If not, I hope it serves as a decent welcome back. We'll discuss some more strategic things in the following turns. At the time that I am re-recording this, the game is significantly advanced, so I can afford to post a number of these updates at regular intervals without running the risk of compromising my strategy in the game as to the point where it's now at, which I think is a good thing. So look forward to hearing more from this game relatively soon.